Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name's Sean Bevan. I'm the principal here at Algonquin. Welcome to the people who are watching at home. So event will be live streamed, is being live streamed currently. And then at the end of this tomorrow or the next day, depends, it takes a little bit of turnaround, I'll take all this information, I'll collapse it into an email, and I'll send it back out to you along with the link to the live stream and the slide deck. So if you're trying to catch everything and scribbling furiously, don't worry, we'll get it right back out to you so that you have a chance to do well on the test later. So it should be enough information for you to feel comfortable coming into our school. It might feel like you're drinking from a fire hose a little bit. It's a lot of information tonight, and we'll try and get you the information you need to feel ready to join our community if you don't already have a child here at the high school. It's a chance for you to hear from me and from my staff, who I'll introduce in a moment. So again, my name is Sean Bevan. I'm the principal here at Algonquin. This is my third year at Algonquin. Previous to here, I was the principal at Westwood High School in Westwood, Massachusetts for almost 10 years. Before that, I was an English teacher here in Algonquin. So when this job opened up, I was an English teacher here for 7 or 8 years. I coached baseball, I ran the school newspaper. I was very involved in the school environment. And when this job opened back up, I was really excited to rejoin this community. It was the only place I ever thought of leaving that former building for, because I really do enjoy this school. I enjoy working with the families and children of Northborough and Southborough. It really makes for a wonderful day spending my days here in the building. I also have a great team, and I want to introduce you to them. So first, I'm going to introduce Kathy Carmignani. She is these three folks I'm going to introduce are our assistant principals. This is Kathy. All right, Janet Brown is another assistant principal, and then Andy McGowan is the assistant principal who will be working most closely for the 4 years with the class of 2027. So the way we work the way our assistant principals are assigned, Mr. McGowan and Ms. Brown work in alternating years with grades. So the grade your children are in 2027. Mr. McGowan will stay with that class for the 4 years, and by the time they graduate, he'll know them certainly very well. Ms. Brown currently has the 9th grade, and they switch back and forth. So Mr. McGowan currently has the 10th and 12th graders. Next year, he'll have the 9th and 11th graders, and on and on. And Ms. Carmignani works with some of our special populations and does a lot of our other programming around the building that is not really exactly totally related to student contact with our staff. So I'm going to kick things off here, and if you have any questions along the way, raise your hand. I think we'll move pretty quickly, and we'll hang back if at the end you want to come on up and ask a question. We're happy to answer it. The goal tonight is for you to become acquainted again with our team and with our courses and our sequences in each of the disciplines. All right, so there's a lot of information, and again, it'll come back out to you after this presentation. But we're coming right up on the course selection process, and so you'll get a lot of information that we're hoping will be immediately helpful to you as you prepare your child to transition into the high school. Myself, I don't live here in town, but I do have an 8th grader and I do have a 10th grader, so I'm familiar with this process and some of the anxieties and some of the excitement that comes along with course selection and the transition to high school. So just a few things. I'm going to share a little bit, and I'm going to try and do it pretty quickly, a little bit about the athletic complex, because that is a project you are probably hearing about in town or amongst from other parents or maybe even your children. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. I'll give you as much information without belaboring it that I think will be helpful for you, because it is really your children are the most that will. Your children are in the class that would have the most immediate and the longest benefit of any of our high school students. So I'll explain that. We have a few exciting changes, things that your child will experience not as a change at all, because everything's new to them, but we're constantly iterating and making changes here at the high school to make it a better experience year to year. I'm a big believer in continuous improvement for myself, for my team, but also for the program we offer here at the high school. And so I'll explain some of those changes to you. And if you have older children here at the high school, you might notice some of those changes, or you might see how your child's your 8th grade child's experience might be a little bit different than your other older siblings. We're going to talk, Ms. Connery, who I'll introduce in a moment, is going to talk about the course of studies for the next 4 years, so you'll get a real good working understanding of what kind of classes your child will be enrolled in and how they'll progress from year to year. Mr. McGowan is going to talk a little bit about the things that we do to support our students from the transition period between now toward the end of their 8th grade year, through the summer, and then to the beginning of the year, and some of the student supports that we have to offer. Then we're going to bring up Kumu Sivarajan, who's one of our APTO co-presidents, who's been a wonderful support and a friend and colleague for the time I've been here for 3 years. So she's going to share a little bit about the APTO, and then we're going to show a little bit of hear from student voices in a quick video that we have. Okay, so I do want to share a little bit about the Algonquin athletic complex. I don't know how many of you have been out on our track or out on our football field. I imagine if you have children and you've been here for events, you're probably aware of the state of our track and our football field and our tennis courts. We have a really wonderful, generally speaking, building and campus, but that's the one area of our building and campus where it's just kind of aged out. So a lot of those areas are things, are places on our campus that just have not been replaced as they should be. They've been repaired and repaired and repaired, and at this point, many of those are just things that need to be just changed. So some of the things that I'll be discussing very briefly are that our stadium field, that's exactly what it sounds like. That's where our football games are played and some of our soccer games, some other big events. The physical field is a grass field, but it's been used for about 30 years now, and it's just so compacted and impacted it can't be replaced again, and it just can't be, aerated enough to get it a new few years. Additionally, the track has been in use, I think, since 1994. It's been patched and repatched and patches over patches, and now we have standing water, and we simply can't even have truly a safe track event there on our track. What we call the JV field is what we're going to start calling the MultiPurpose Field, is a field out over toward the right-hand side if you were to be exited the building from this side. It is used by several teams, but again, similarly to the football field, it's impacted, compacted, and just needs to be totally overhauled. We have lights on our current football field, but they're old and they don't provide enough lighting for sports like lacrosse because the lumens it produces are just not quite enough. So those are some areas of safety and of just kind of upkeep. As much as we've provided the upkeep, it's just the facilities at the end of its useful life. Additionally, the grandstands are not ADA compliant, so if you've ever been up there, you climb up the stairs to get there and find your seat. There are no handicap ramps, there are no handicap seating, there's no handicap availability to get up into our press box, and all those things would be rectified under a new project. So you may be seeing this image a lot. I sure do. It's like around my office. It's like in every corner of this building currently. So I'm just going to overview a little bit about this project, and then I'm going to talk to you about the timeline and what you might be able to do about it as a parent who has a child coming in. Up in the left-hand corner here, you see our track. The new project would replace the track right on the nearly exact footprint of the current track. There's really not a lot of movement we can do with that track, nor would you need to. The field itself would be fully turf, and there would be brand new lighting installed. The grandstands would have handicapped accessible ramps and ramping to go from there to the amenities building and the other parts of the campus. On the upper right-hand side, you see that we have what we call the JV field, but currently we don't use it for that many things because it just can't be used for that many things, and it would be used, now we'd be starting to call it the multi-purpose field because it would be lined for a variety of sports, from rugby to soccer to football to field hockey, and I think I'm missing one. But for example, our field hockey team does not play here on campus. They can't play here on campus because the surface isn't flat enough or high quality enough. They have to play their games at the New England Sports Center, I think is the name of it, across town. And so they would be brought back to school and be able to play their games. That field also would have lights, so the ability to use that field would begin from the end of the school day all the way up until the late evening, with no time for resting the fields or changeover, except for the changeover time. Over here if you see the left-hand corner in the left field of that baseball field in the bottom right, there's a little clamshell item area. I think there's I don't know if can you see my, yeah, there you go. That's an amphitheater we'll be adding to this facility. It's a small, modest structure that would be used for our performing artists, should they want to use it, for evening concerts, things like Apple Fest. And also we could see, I'm sure we would have classes and other ways of that being, that part of the facility being used. On the way upper left-hand corner, there's a lacrosse wall. If you have a lacrosse player, we'll be creating this wall that's a real signature item for any community that has a big lacrosse program, as ours does. And then finally, we have here, currently we have 9 tennis courts. Those would be, if you've been out on those tennis courts, they're cracked. They can't be cracked and they can't be repaired anymore. They need to be pulled out. So those tennis courts would be pulled out and replaced. So we'd go from 9 tennis courts down to 7, and then we plan on adding 3 pickleball courts, which were a big hit with the kids. We mentioned that today. We shared that with them today. They burst into applause. They're very big fans of pickleball, bigger fans than maybe even the older people in our communities, and a basketball court. I don't know that I'm missing anything here, but that's the scope and scale of the project. I just kind of ran through these items. All right. The multipurpose field, again, would be lined for a whole host of new sports. The tennis courts would be reduced from 9 to 7 and then added, and we'd be adding some new features. The amphitheater, that image there isn't necessarily the exact one we'd be using, but it'd be similar. And then we have the lacrosse wall. If you've seen lacrosse walls in other communities like Lincoln Sudbury, Westwood has one. There's a lot of communities that have them. So really important to note, and then we'll start moving into tonight's proper program. The project itself, you can see here, is not a cheap one. It's $7.5 million, and even more than that, of course. It's not cheap, but it's an investment that we see as being really necessary and important for us to have a safe facility, one that we're proud of, and that we can be excited to attend our events and to have our children safely participate in games and things on. Additionally, it would be more inclusive. It'd be compliant so that our families and other people who and students who attend our events are able to access our facility fully, which they could not currently do. So very important to note, the town meetings are coming up. One's on March 25th. That is the Southborough Town Meeting. And the Northborough Town Meeting is on April 24th and 25th. If this project is voted by a majority in each of those 2 towns, the project would begin very soon after, which is very, very exciting. So this might be something you're familiar with, but as I was a little bit cynical going into this, thinking these are the kind of projects that take years and years. Excuse me. The reality is we've been talking about it for years and years, and now is the time to actually vote it and then begin construction. So there is a high likelihood that the construction would begin before the end of the school year, or the demolition would begin and the construction as well, and that would continue over the summer. And there is a not 0% likelihood that we could be opening school with a new facility or having the new facility being useful this fall. Okay, so I encourage you to come on out and vote when this comes up to town meeting. I encourage you to bring a neighbor, talk to the people around you to excite them about this project. It will impact your children, and then if you have younger children behind them, for years and years and years. It's an exciting, exciting project. Okay, and lastly, I would just encourage you to follow along. There's a few different ways to do so. So there's an Algonquin, the Gonkplex website. It's full of information. You could go down a real rabbit hole just in the FAQs to find out everything from how much it costs to the turf to you name it. So there's tons there, and we're once in a while posting information on social media to just keep people informed. Okay. I'm going to switch over to just do a quick, and now we're going to kind of pop around to a few really mission-critical, important pieces for you to understand about next year. And so this is an important one. So this year we have been using what we call a waterfall bell schedule. It's very similar to what a lot of schools use. Delivers a lot of benefits. There's no singular bell schedule that works for every school member in every community. If there were, every school would have the same bell schedule. What this bell schedule, it's a lot to look at, I can understand. There's a lot of boxes, but what the features of this bell schedule are that we run a 7 periods, and they always run in concession. It's kind of like a batting order. So A always precedes B, precedes C, precedes D, and one drops off at the end of the day. So you're only meeting 6 of those classes. One drops off, and that meets the next day, and on and on. So every day, the classes are roughly 55 minutes long each, and they always move to a different part of the day. So if you're a teacher, you're seeing students at a different kind of level of energy or a different level of performance based on, as you might know, your children perform differently at 8 a.m. than they do at 12 p.m. than they do at 2 p.m. That is very much true here in the building, and this delivers the benefits of kind of smoothing out some of those harder points where students are not at their 100%, and it also delivers the alternative, which is when they're really optimal, you get to see them at that optimal best, and also you drop one class every 7 days, meaning there's one class that every 7th day, every day you're dropping one class, and then you pick it up again the next day. It's a lot to look at. Once you live it for literally 2 or 3 days, it's really pretty simple because for the children, for the students, once they're leaving the door of their B block class, they're always going literally probably in the same route to their C block class. When they're leaving C, they're always going to D. Just where it lives in the day tends to change. Okay. All right. This is a schedule that we mostly are trying this year. We tried some different ones that had a couple different features that just made it a little bit cumbersome. This is as simplified and as basic as we get, and students, we did a lot of surveys of students and staff, and this is the one that provided the most of what everyone wanted. Okay, a few important changes, and these just have really come into the finish, the top half of this slide, the top 2/3 of this slide, were voted at school committee in January, but they represent work I did through that committee, school committee and the school council and my administrative team and my department head team to examine what's best for students. Our graduation requirements had not been changed in a very long time. I don't know how long. So they represented some thinking that we needed to adjust and change. So they're really just kind of nominal changes, but I'll walk you through them. So this is remember I was saying a few moments ago, the kind of place that there are some things that if you have a child here at the high school, already have a child come through, your child would have a different experience with our bell schedule for sure, but also this as well. One is that currently all of our students in 9th through 12th grade that are currently in the building have to take or have had to take digital literacy as a course, and most of them took it in their freshman year. For the class of 2027, your students will have the choice between 2 different courses, digital literacy and computer application. That's one course, the name has changed, or exploring computer science. So we'll send out materials so that your student can match those 2 courses and see which one aligns best with their interests. But the goal here was to provide your children with a course requirement that had a lot of the similar features to each other, but that had enough differences that they could match their interests to that course requirement. So we'll send out some information so that you can shop for that course and kind of decide which bucket you see your child being most successful in. But this is an example of a little bit of an expansion of student choice so that your child can have more of the experience they're hopeful for. And then additionally, currently we allow, and this it's kind of puzzling why we ever allowed this, but we have allowed students to achieve graduation through 2.5 credits of applied arts. Those are like business and technology courses, wood shop, metal shop, or 2.5 credits in fine and performing arts. So as a result, students could come through us in 4 years and never pick up a paintbrush, draw a picture, throw a pot, play a musical instrument, and yet they could do many wonderful things in the applied arts. So this is not intended to criticize our applied arts program, which is maybe the best in Central Massachusetts. It actually provides a little bit more incentive for our students to engage in the arts because we also have a really wonderful arts program. All along the way, your child will have, I think it's 37.5 credits to assign to electives in their 4 years anyway, so they'll have lots of opportunities to take courses in many different departments. All right, so this is really a subtle shift that we anticipate students will respond well to. Also, all students in your child's grade will receive a Chromebook. This is pending school committee approval of the budget, but this is incorporated into the budget, so everyone will be issued a school-issued device, and that will be their device for 4 years. So we plan on growing that year to year, so after 4 years, every student in the whole building will be one-to-one with the Chromebooks. Currently, we are a BYOD, bring your own device school, and that presents some advantages, but mostly it prevents a lot of challenges, just a lot of devices with a lot of different needs and a lot of technological hiccups that arise as a result. So we're starting to grow that out while we grow in Chromebooks as one-to-one. So if you're thinking of buying your child a laptop computer as they enter the high school, I would say you might want to hold off on that because they'll be issued a Chromebook, and then you'll probably have an opportunity to buy them a laptop as they leave high school and go into college or careers where a laptop might be more useful to them because they'll have one here at the high school that already is useful. Okay. Okay, and then if you are a parent of a student who's new to us, or maybe you live in town and they were attending a private school and are coming back to us, we're going to ask you to just pay close attention to registration and making sure you're registering your child properly so that we know who you are and we know that you're on our mailing list and letting you know about events like tonight and things like that. So there are probably people in the room who fit that description. The registration appointments are scheduled for March 14th and 15th. Families can contact Morgan Bridge. She's the administrative assistant in guidance, and she can walk you through what you need to get acquainted with that process and get on all of our radars so that we can support you in that transition. Okay, and now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Lisa Connery. Lisa Connery is our Director of Guidance, and she is going to walk you through a lot of the particulars about our courses. Let's hear it for Lisa.
Thank you, Sean. And good evening. Welcome. So we're looking forward to working with you and your student as they transition to the high school. So I have a quick question. How many of you are first-time high school parents? I figured as much. So rest assured, this is not our first freshman class that we'll be welcoming into the high school, okay? So we actually have done this quite a few times, and we are here to support you. I'll be your point of contact throughout the spring. I work very closely with the middle school guidance counselors, answering all of your questions and guiding them through the process as well. So please feel free to reach out to your middle school counselor or reach out directly to me. I'm more than happy to help. In the fall, when your student enters the high school, they'll be assigned to a guidance counselor, and they will stay with that guidance counselor all 4 years while they're here at the high school. We have a very seasoned counseling staff, and they are here to support you as well. We have a lot of wonderful, wonderful teachers who work very closely with us, especially to identify students who might be struggling or need additional supports. If you as a parent have questions or concerns, the work that we do with you is always confidential. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information that we can share with you to help guide you and your student through the transition. So tonight, I'm going to primarily focus on graduation requirements, highlight some elective course offerings, and then provide some information about course levels, teacher recs, exemptions. You might receive some of the same information from the middle school counselors. I know that the middle school counselors are going into the classrooms and sharing a lot of this information with your students as well. So I'm just going to jump right in, and we'll kick it right off with MCAS requirements. I know you're all familiar with MCAS. Your students have been taking these tests for years. But in order to graduate from high school, your students do need to pass a science MCAS as well as an ELA and a math MCAS. Here at Algonquin, our students will take the science MCAS in June of freshman year, and that is the biology test. Sophomore year, they'll do the ELA and the math test. So we have great success with our students passing the exam, and if for any reason, your student is having any difficulties, we will put some supports in place. So whenever you're planning your student's course of study, we introduce this document to students quite frequently. The four-year courses study outlines all of the graduation requirements and shows your student what they should be taking each year during high school and where they have opportunities for electives. You can see we've mapped this out over the grades, 9, 10, 11, and 12. As Sean had mentioned, your student can be enrolled in up to 7 courses at any given time. This is also available on our website, so you can go right onto the guidance website and grab a copy for yourself. But I'm going to go through all of these graduation requirements in the PowerPoint. Let's see. So we'll start with English. Of course, we require, the department chair is Jane Bitar, we require 4 years of English. Your student will be enrolled in English the entire time that they are here at Algonquin. So in 9th grade and 10th grade, we offer freshman English at the honors and the college prep level and sophomore English at the honors and the college prep level. In 11th and 12th grade, junior and senior English, again, we offer honors and college prep level courses, but in 11th grade, your student becomes eligible to possibly enroll in an AP course. We offer AP Language and Composition, as well as AP Literature. Our English department has some wonderful, wonderful electives, whether it's a literature course like contemporary literature or silence voices. We have some fabulous writing courses. Mr. Bevan mentioned he oversaw the newspaper, so the journalism course prepares students to work with the Harbinger. We have a fabulous advanced writing seminar course where students learn how to become tutors for our writing center. For social studies, Brittany Burns is the department chair. We require 3 years, 15 credits, so students will take social studies through 9 through 11. In grade 9, they'll do the U.S. History 1 class, which is an unleveled class. All students take the same course. In grade 10, they can do U.S. History 2 at the honors or the college prep level. They also have the opportunity to take AP U.S. History if their teacher recommends that and suggests that for them and they're ready for that level of that college level work. In grade 11, they'll focus on world history and again at the honors or the college prep level, and we also offer AP world history. While we only require 3 years to graduate, if your student is college bound, we're going to recommend a 4th year of social studies. Our social studies department has a lot of fabulous electives, whether it's our AP courses, AP Government, Psychology, Human Geography. And we have a lot of great honors level electives, whether it's Positive Psychology, Public Speaking, Race in America, Holocaust. Your student will have a lot of opportunities to be able to take these elective courses. We require 3 years of math to graduate. However, the Massachusetts State Colleges and Universities require 4 years of math. So we tell all of our students, because we send most of our students off to college, to plan on 4 years of math while they're here at Algonquin. Now, every student is going to have a different math progression based on their skill set, their level of interest in math. Some students might come in this next year doing Algebra 2 at the honors or the college prep level if they've already done Algebra 1 in middle school. Many of our students will come in doing Algebra 1. All students will progress to geometry in their sophomore year at the honors or the college prep level, and then depending on what they did in their freshman year, they'll either take Algebra 2 or pre-calculus, ultimately leading to senior year doing pre-calculus or calculus. And so we will gladly, work with you and help answer any questions that you might have in regards to your student's placement for math next year. Lori Zanini is the department chair for the science department. We require 3 years of science to graduate. That's biochem and physics. We offer all 3 of those courses at the honors and the college prep level. And again, in 9th grade, they will do the MCAS exam after they've completed the biology course. We have a lot of science electives, so although we only require 3 years to graduate, we recommend a 4th if your student is college bound. So we have all of the AP science courses, AP biology, chemistry, environmental science, physics, and we have a lot of great electives for students to explore. whether it's forensic science, organic chemistry, innovations, biotechnology. They have some fabulous courses. World language. So we do not have a world language requirement to graduate. However, the Massachusetts state colleges and universities require a minimum of 2 years for admissions purposes. So world language is really the gray area in the college admissions process. So some schools, some colleges do not have a language requirement, while others will look for their student to maybe have 3 or 4 years in high school. So it depends. My recommendation to students is if the language is going well, they really should continue within the same language, minimally through their junior year, and then they can make a decision as to whether or not they continue their language into their senior year. Now, we offer Spanish, French, and Latin, and this coming year, we're going to offer a new course, Portuguese for the native speaker, which is we're really excited about. In regards to health and fitness, Brian Mawson is the department chair. We require health and fitness every year. So a semester of health and fitness every year. Health and fitness 9, 11, and 12 primarily focus on fitness, with grade 10 focusing more on the health curriculum. They too also have a few electives, weight training and team sports, so if your student is really into fitness, they'll have an opportunity to take an additional PE course if that's what they're interested in. Applied Arts. Tricia Riley is the department chair for Applied Arts, so they have a couple of required courses in their department. Mr. Bevan had mentioned that in freshman year, students are required to take digital literacy or exploring computer science. Both of those courses are going to be offered at the college prep level. In grades 10 through 12, students have to take an economics course. Now, they can fulfill that by taking microeconomics and finance at the honors or the college prep level, financial literacy at the honors or the college prep level. All of those courses are semester courses, now which will fulfill the graduation requirement. Your student may decide to enroll in AP Economics. That's a full year course, which also fulfills the graduation requirement. In addition to all of these requirements, the Applied Arts Department has a tremendous amount of elective courses, whether it's education and consumer science courses, whether it's nutrition, which is, cooking, baking and pastry, global cuisine, early childhood development, learning where students learn how to develop lesson plans. They learned about the developmental stages of children, and then we have our preschool, In addition, we have our technology electives, whether it's video production, engineering graphics, wood technology, or hands-on engineering. And then we have a fantastic business program along with our DECA program, whether your student is interested in marketing, accounting, management and leadership, sports and entertainment marketing. We have a lot of fabulous course offerings. Our computer science courses are also connected with our Applied Arts Department. So we do, in addition to offering exploring computer science, we have C++1, HTML, Python, and we do offer the AP computer science courses. As Mr. Bevan had mentioned, we've transitioned to requiring a semester of fine and performing arts. As you can see, the Fine and Performing Arts Department has a lot of elective course offerings, whether it's basic art courses where they focus on drawing or digital art, ceramics, photography, maybe they want to participate in drama, or they want to do band, maybe they want to learn how to play the piano or the guitar. There's a tremendous number of offerings for your student to explore their interests and their passion while also fulfilling the graduation requirement. So parents oftentimes will ask us about the difference between the levels. What's the difference between a college prep versus an honors level course? So the college prep level course really focuses on the basic concepts right? And it's the material, the content is delivered at a very deliberate pace with both abstract and concrete formats. The goal is to build independent thinking and independent studying and critical thinking skills. So students really, there's a lot of work that is done within the classroom. And they work to develop those skills and prepare students for life after high school. The honors level curriculum really is at a more accelerated pace. They do very little repetition. There's a lot more independent work and preparation that has to happen outside of the classroom. So students who are looking to enroll in an honors level course really need to be self-directed. In addition, they really need to have a high interest level and a passion for that content. Parents will often ask us, is it better to get an A in a CP course or a C+ in an honors level course? And honestly, that really depends on your student, right? So it's really, you have to think about your students' strengths and their interests. You also have to think about their outside commitments. We have some students who really, are quite comfortable challenging themselves and working through a course and the challenges that they might face, and they're fine earning a C+ because they really want the challenge and the rigor, and they like that higher level course. So they're comfortable getting a C+. Another student who maybe is getting a C+, might not be as comfortable. You might find them at night where they're in tears, and they're really struggling with the material. And I have to say, if it's stressing a student out and it's causing them to put too much focus on one particular course, and then it might start to impact their other course, then it's probably not worth it to stay in that honors level course or to take that honors level course. It's really about thinking about your student, their interests, their passion, their strengths. We all have them. As soon as we wrap up the presentation here tonight, you're going to go out into the hall and have the opportunity to ask questions of our department chairs. And each and every one of our department chairs out in the hallway, they have an interest and a passion, whether it's math, science, history, English, and they're here to share that with you. Your children also have those strengths and those interests and those passions. And so it's really recognizing what those are. And they might be a little different than yours, right? And that's okay. You might be a stronger writer. They might be stronger in math, vice versa. But think about what their strengths are. Talk with their teachers. Listen to the recommendations that their teachers and their middle school counselors are making, and help them to bring balance to their overall course selection. Okay, so the middle school teachers right now, I know, are working on student recommendations, course recommendations, and any questions that you might have about the recommendations really should be directed toward your middle school teachers. I'll oftentimes have parents contact me with questions about a course. I can answer some basic questions for you and give you some feedback. However, what I really can't speak to is your student skill set. Their current teacher has a really strong understanding of where they're at, and they can explain to you why they're making the recommendations they're making, areas of strength as well as areas of growth for your student. So any questions that you have about your student's recommendation really should be directed to the teacher. And I would encourage you to listen to the recommendation. They work very closely with our department heads around expectations for grade 9 curriculum, so they are familiar with what the expectations are going to be when your student comes up to the high school. And I know the middle school counselors will be talking with you a little bit about the override process. So if for some reason you do not agree with the teacher recommendation and you've had that conversation with the teacher, and you still want to enroll your student in that higher level course, then there is an override process that you will have to follow that the middle school will outline for you. Okay, so any questions about that, you could definitely reach out to the middle school counselors. Okay, so elective courses. I just quickly went through a lot of the different electives that we offer here at Algonquin. And elective courses really are a nice break in the day for students, providing a different learning environment, a break from academics. A lot of students and parents often worry that if they take an elective course, that somehow that's going to be viewed negatively from, say, a college admission standpoint. I assure you that as long as your student is enrolled in the core academic, content areas, those core academic courses, they will be fine from an admissions standpoint, okay? They can still go ahead and take a ceramics course if that's an area of interest for them, even if it's just a hobby. Take the photo class, right? Take a video production, do the nutrition class. Whatever it is that they're interested, it's okay if they go ahead and they take an elective course. Now, the middle school counselors will be talking with students, about how they should be ranking their electives. All students really should be providing alternate electives. So they'll give us 2 or 3 elective choices, and then they should give us 2 or 3 alternate choices. Because when we go to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together to create a schedule, sometimes they don't always all fit. So we kind of have to go and look at the alternative electives for a student in order to finalize and fill their schedule. Okay, the middle school counselors will definitely be sending some more information out about that. So, speaking about electives, we do provide students with the opportunity to exempt a non-required course. So students can exempt 1 full year or 2 semester non-required courses. Our purpose of creating the exemption policy was really to encourage students to explore their interests and maybe enroll in a CP elective course. So we were finding that a lot of our students who were primarily enrolling in honors level courses were hesitant to go ahead and maybe enroll in a ceramics course that was at the CP level for fear that it would negatively impact their GPA. So we created this process to encourage students, once they've enrolled in those core courses, to go ahead and try some of these elective courses. They can exempt the course from their GPA, and how it works is prior to starting the course, the student has to complete the exemption form. It is on our website, and the middle school counselors also have access to this. They let us know that they want to accept it. Now, the course is not calculated into the GPA, however, it still shows up on the transcript. So a student still has to give their best effort in the course. Colleges will still see that the student has taken the course, but it simply won't be calculated into their GPA. They can do this every year here at Algonquin. All right. So how's our scheduling timeline? So right now, you're going to be working with the middle schools. In March, we go through the process of selecting all of the courses. Like Sean Bevan had mentioned, we'll be registering new students from private schools. If you're currently at Trotter and Milliken, you do not need to reach out to us in regards to registration. You'll automatically roll over. And then from April to August, we're going to work on developing a master schedule and refining that and preparing student schedules, which we will release in August. We typically release schedules the week before school starts. Okay, so that's just a quick little overview of graduation requirements and course selections here at Algonquin. I think that I'm going to hand it off to Andy McGowan to talk a little bit about some of the freshman transition work that we'll do.
Thanks, Lisa. So just in regards to your 8th grader coming up to the high school, we have a number of great opportunities for them to get involved, and one of them starts before school even starts. It's called Freshman Orientation. We have that there August, just before the first day of school. You'll get an email or some notification from Mr. Bevan and just kind of notifying you of what's going on, what the date is, what it looks like, and all that goes into freshman orientation. We have a small army of juniors and seniors who act as peer mentors, who lead our freshmen through team building games and the kind of culture building activities, and then they get a chance to tour the building, actually walk through their schedule, see where their locker is, and really just kind of experience the school like in a physical sense on that day as well. So it's a great day. It's a day that Northborough students get to meet Southborough students and vice versa, and anyone transferring in can get to meet some new people as well. Prior to that, fall sports start even earlier than that, so if you do have a student who's an athlete here who may be playing a fall sport, they're going to kind of have a little insight into what the school's all about even before freshman orientation takes place. In addition to that, our guidance department, Ms. Connery just went through so much, a lot of information there with the guidance department, but they're working with our 8th grade teams and developing transition plans for each student as they come here to just really set them up as best as possible to maximize their success here as they come in as freshmen. Including in that is any kind of supports that may be needed and so forth with our instructional support team if your student's on an IEP or 504. And lastly, once the year gets going, early September, we have something called an Activities Extravaganza. That is a day where we showcase all of our clubs and activities, extracurricular activities here at the high school. It takes place during lunch, so everyone in the school gets an opportunity to see what else is available in terms of clubs and activities. One thing we always tell our freshmen, and they hear it over and over again from the moment we start really speaking to the class as a whole, is we want to encourage them to get involved. And we have 60-plus clubs and activities here at the school. Everything from robotics to video gaming to at one point we had a sewing club and so forth. So there's a lot of different clubs that are here at the high school that your child can get involved in. And if there's not something that they really see that's fitting to them, they can always reach out and let us know. And you know, more often than not, we're able to work with them to some capacity or at least point them in the right direction. So that Activities Extravaganza is just a great opportunity for our students who are here right now to kind of put their clubs on display, and for our new students, whether they're freshman, junior, senior, sophomore, to see what is available outside of the classroom here at the high school. And talk for a brief moment about some of the supportive services that we have here at the school. If your student's on an IEP or 504, just kind of that transition can add a little more anxiety to them, maybe coming into the building, into a new building, meeting new friends and so forth, and just the whole high school atmosphere. So we do everything we can to support them through that. There's a number of various ways that students can feel supported, whether they're on a 504 and IEP or if they're not. A couple of those are just the after-school help. All of our teachers here have at least one day that they spend after school to provide extra help for our students as they need it. More often than not at the high school level, your child's arranging that with that teacher. It's typically put on them. The teachers like to have, and we like to encourage the students to advocate for themselves, and that's one piece to it. That's a kind of an easy way to start advocating for yourself, is to connect with your teacher as a freshman and see what those extra help sessions may look like. We also have peer tutoring in a number of different subjects where students are working with their peers who have a really good grasp of whatever that content is. And we have a writing center here at the high school that students can go and work on not just English reports or whatever it may be, but all kinds of writing assignments, whether it's a science writing assignment, applied arts writing assignment, and so forth. We have some peer tutors who are there to help with that kind of thing. Focus studies and learning centers, those are specifically geared towards students with IEPs or 504s, where there's a focus study teacher involved there, walking them through, kind of helping them stay organized, helping students stay on track and on task with whatever their courses are, and similar to learning centers, as well as some of these small group instructional places where we have that are set up within the learning centers. And then there's our specialized services program for other students as well, where they're working on some life skills that are really applicable to just the daily living, the daily functioning, and so forth of life. So all of our gen ed teachers work very closely with our liaisons, work very closely with our focus study teachers and our tutors, and all of it kind of is supported through our guidance department, who just does an outstanding job supporting our kids directly as they navigate the high school experience. So it can be a little challenging coming in and a little overwhelming, but once they get here, they get their feet under them. There's a lot of supports here to lead up to that, and a lot of supports once they are here. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Kumu, who's going to talk a little bit about the Algonquin APTO.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kumu Sivarajan. I'm here to talk to you and let you know about the Algonquin Parentage Organization. Yes, there is a parentage organization even in the high school level. It might be slightly different from elementary and middle school, but that is us here at Algonquin. And I am, we are 501c3 nonprofit organization run by this year 6 of us. All 6 of us are dedicated parent volunteers, just like you girls. That is like we provide like, just like elementary and middle school, the concept is the same. We support our school any whichever way they want it, or like depends on their strengths and weaknesses. We kind of like we give award programs and services, resources, and funds. Anyway, it just slightly it's different pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and also now we do it a little differently, what we learned from the pandemic. So like I said, just in a typical year, these are the major ones we do. We start the year with picture day support. College fair, this our guidance department, which I think is the best, like this is from a parent's perspective. I've been here past 6 years, so I hope like you will also find our guidance department when you get here the same way. For my family, it worked. They were super, super helpful, being a new parent and all that from new state and all that. So they bring tons of colleges right here to our school for our kids, so that they can just get to see all the college process and the college representatives they can get to talk to. So we help with the college fair and also Teacher Appreciation Week. You all know, like teachers take a lot, like especially during and after pandemic. So, like they also do, in my view, Algonquin teachers, they work very hard to keep our kids educated and learned and basically safe, I think. So do we give them a Teacher Appreciation Week or day? We provide them with, some foods and some activities and things like that. Ice cream social, that's for our kids, like entire 9th through 12th grade. All of them, like that's in May. Junior post-prom party, this is a big one. This cost us $20,000 after the pandemic. Now, this is going to be in May. And I strongly suggest, like, I can even tell you, but I strongly suggest that you sign up for the overnight. This is actually the night-long event right after the prom. Prom is totally run by the school. That's a pomp of a ceremony that's outside the school. Right after that, we give Algonquin Parent-Teacher Organization, we give the post-prom party so that the kids can safely, the idea is to keep the kids safe rather than after prom go, do stuff. So they just, we bring them from the school, we bus them to the New England Sports Center, that's in Marlboro, and bus them back. It runs from the midnight to the early morning, 5 o'clock. So all of these things, we just cannot do without the parents. We just plan, organize, heartful, but we cannot make it happen. Just we always looking for the volunteers, and I strongly suggest that you guys sign up for the volunteering, the night out, because you will get to see, it's like a preview. What is your student going to experience that night? In just another 2 years, your student, girl or boy, would be there. I was like, wish I knew earlier, like I was always curious, like, what's it going to be? Like, like, are they going to be safe? Like, whatever they say. So if you can, like last year, actually, a few parents came from the 8th grade. So look out for the communication if you would like to. That would be in May. Senior scholarships, we also give 5 students scholarship, $500 each. That has a criteria. The teacher wish list we have done. We don't do it every year. Depends, like I said, like, their strengths and weaknesses, and also from our budget. Year-end teacher luncheon. This is also like on the very last day, we give luncheon to the entire adult body of the school. Again, like to send them, to have a great summer. And senior treats, we did like in this, for the pandemic, because the seniors, they did not get to experience the prom or any of those high school experiences. To a class of 2021, they lost basically everything. So we just gave, it was a really expensive program, but again, the parents stepped up and did a marvelous job. So we did that we had sponsored raffles in the past and much more. So this is the basic things. Like I said, again, like we just cannot do without the parents. It's donation, and like at this time I would like to mention, we are so fortunate to have real good and generous and very supportive parent communities, both the towns. Every time they come through, we just cannot do without them. If you are a returning parent, thank you. And if you are new with us, and I really hope you will get involved. Here is where I suggest that you get involved. I just want to tell from my perspective, I've been here past 6 years, and my oldest daughter graduated 2021, and I have a senior year, so I'm graduating as well. So 6 years ago, I was right there on the edge of the seat, very nervous. First, I was from a different state, didn't go to school here for the high school rather. High school, I didn't go to high school here. And my oldest child, how am I going to survive here, let alone my little one girl? So this high school, like parent like me, I've been like all throughout my children's education from the day one, I've been in the school systems, helping, parental committees rather, and the district committees, everything. Even for me, it really scared me. Like it looked like a campus to me. So how am I going to let my girl here? I was there, like every word came out of Mrs. Connery. I was just taking in it, though it was loud. And then the first thing what I did was, I just got involved. And when I asked around, I found out there's a preconceived notion, high school doesn't need us. High school doesn't want to see the parents. So I kind of I was in the middle, like yes or no. Then I got out of my comfort zone, just went there, reached out to parent-teacher organization. And in no time, I found myself in the board. So I must say, this is the 6th year I'm with the APTO, thoroughly enjoyed. Nothing else it would have given me more pleasure. And we have an amazing, incredible principal and who's very supportive. It's a pleasure to work with the team. Just we can think creatively, we can get better. Very supportive, helpful. So I really hope you will get involved and be part of your students' high school experience before you send them off. And then about the donation, I must tell that we do not run any fundraiser. We have done it, we tried many, we went on restaurant spree and all that we have done. I was just sitting in the senior this for 3 hours. We have tried everything, but it wasn't worth our time. But like I said, the parents really, when we ask directly, if we are direct with them, every time they come through. And our books are open, everything, it's just a nonprofit organization, so everything is. These are our means. If you want to take a picture, please get involved and then reach out to us. High school, if it's an oldest child, if it's a oldest child, it might be overwhelming to you. So we can make it easier and I hope really you will take the best use of everything this great school can offer. It worked very well to my family, so I hope it will to you as well. Thank you and good luck.
No, hold on. You jumped the gun, Kumu. All right, no, that's quite all right. Let's see, that's all right. So thank you, Kumu. I have the great pleasure of working with Kumu for the last 3 years, and she's just a great partner, and the PTO just brings a lot of really wonderful ideas, a lot of great energy and presence to the school. So Kumu's been a real asset. So Owen, are we ready to do some audio? So we're about to finish up here, but the best way to hear, sorry about that. All right. The best way to find out about Algonquin is to hear from students. Students don't like to come to school and hang out with the principal at 7 p.m. at night, so we have a little bit of a video here. What it is actually the video we used last year when we declared ourselves transitioning from the Tomahawk, which was our mascot or logo for 60 years, to a new image, which was the Titan. That actually happened a year ago over the weekend. So on Saturday, it was like the 1-year anniversary of becoming Titans. So when we did that, we shared this video, and it has just a lot of you can get a real good sense for what students think about the school, and you see a lot of adults talking about it. A lot of the adults who talk through in this video came through us as students. So I'm going to share that, and you'll get a better sense for what students think of our school. And that at the back end, don't be confused, there is a little bit of mascot language in there, but I hope you can pick up the general information here. Algonquin really is just a home away from home for me, and has been for a long time in my career and in my life. We just have a lot to be really proud of. Our sports are really some of the best in the whole state of Massachusetts. Our fine and performing arts are sensational. Some of the best families and kids I've ever met in a building filled with incredibly dedicated and skilled professionals.
I think it makes it unique that it's a regional school, so we're combining 2 towns. We also have just such a supportive staff. My teachers, who are phenomenal, it feels kind of like a home, I guess. It's just a nice community.
When I was a student at Algonquin, I graduated in 2014. I loved math when I was here, and then I think that really just inspired me to become a teacher, and I think it just felt like coming home. I just wanted to come back to Algonquin and give my students the same experience that I had.
I think what sticks out to me the most is probably the friendships I've made here. I feel like I'm always doing something new, new clubs, meeting new people. Fall sports just kind of have a very unifying vibe. Every time I went to practice, every other team was also practicing. It was very team-like, and everybody was in it together.
I really like going to the football games in the fall with my friends. The opportunities that you get at our school, not just for sports, but for the arts or theater or music or anything that you want to do, there's always someone here who wants to do the same thing, so you'll always find someone who has something in common with you.
I'm a second-generation Algonquin student. I've played basketball for 4 years here, same as my dad. And when I've been here, I loved all the friendships and memories I've made, which I'm definitely going to miss when I go off to college next year.
I went to Algonquin, and it was the best experience of my life being in high school here. It's just why I decided to come back as a teacher and continue being part of the community.
I'm on the robotics team, and that's sort of like sports in the term that we use mascots to identify us. But I think once the school has its own mascot, it'll help connect everyone.
When I think of Algonquin, I think about the people. I really feel like the staff, the faculty, everyone that works here is amazing. The kids are awesome.
I've always been a huge sports fan, and over my 4 years here, I've attended a lot of Algonquin sports events, and I saw the unity that this school had around the Tomahawk, but I think this is going to be a new era for our sports teams, and it's going to bring an even higher level of unity than we saw before.
So I've been working at Algonquin for 9 years, and there's nothing better than getting an email from a former student updating me on their life, what they're doing in their job, their career. So many of our students go to great places in the workforce, the military, and colleges, and I really love playing a part in a student's time in Algonquin.
When I think of Algonquin, I think of pride, school spirit, camaraderie, family, community, all tied into one that represents Algonquin. We will always celebrate our old mascot and uniting Algonquin under a new mascot and bringing that sense of pride as we transition into the future. Here at Algonquin, we are many things. We are all parts of a rich history. We are scholars and athletes. We are artists and poets. We are innovators and entrepreneurs. We are leaders in our community. We are the Titans.
So that's a video we showed last year to announce that we had made this change. It was very exciting. I hope you got from there is just kind of the energy and enthusiasm teenagers bring about their experience here every day, and I hope your child has that experience as well. So that just about wraps it up for us. We have a webpage that if you're new to us, that you may visit and get a little bit more information and know who to contact to manage that transition. And what we'll do now is to open the doors in the back. I'll hang up here. Mr. McGowan will be here, Ms. Connery. But through those doors in the auditorium lobby, we have our department heads have arrived, and they're going to be there to answer any questions. If you have a department-specific question or you want to meet some of our staff, they're out there and are happy to help. Hope you have a wonderful night. I know you were a wonderful audience, and you got a lot of information very quickly and in a very short period of time. And I hope you enjoy your transition here to the high school. Welcome.